Hello? I hope y'all can hear me. I am about to start some music. I apologize for the relative lack of sound just at the current, but let's throw some tunes on. We're probably going to have to suffer through some. Yep, there it is. YouTube, stop. Stop, YouTube. Okay, skip ads. And I guess we're going to try and do the trick that somebody taught me. No, I'm not going to say it because that could get me in trouble, I suppose. Excuse me. All right, I'm going to do this trick so that we can listen to this music with relatively few interruptions. And there we go. All right. Hello. We've got some copyright-free music going on. Excuse me, going on in the background. We are streaming. We are talking about Dungeons and Dragons primarily. I'm going to tweet about this because I pre-wrote a tweet, but I didn't want to tweet it until it was time. And it's taking a second, but I think the tweet is about to be yeeted. Of course, it's kind of difficult for me to tell because my dang computer is going so slow. I might have to turn off this. Nope, there it is. It's good. I'm going to like my own tweet. How about that? How did that strike you? All right. Let me see. We would like to select all tabs. We would like to bookmark tabs. 1/17/2022. I have this really weird habit. I'll talk about it later. Anyhow, now we can close all of that. We can focus on everything. I don't remember if this is week or episode 11 or episode 10, but we're going to go with 11. We'll fix it in post. All right. So, we are starting as we do with our Monday game. We did get to play a little bit last week. We actually kind of sort of lost a player, but gained a digital tabletop. Sorry, and I'm just responding to someone on my phone because people like to tweet or message me late at night. Phone has been yeeted. We are doing Out of the Abyss on Mondays. The group has been in Sloopladop. I changed it a little bit. It's still having to do with Demogorgon. He's not going to show up and wreck things. I'm going to give the group an opportunity to kind of sort of make good. So at least at this time being, I'm just going to delete this because shoot, now I'm trying to figure out. Did I save a copy of this? Or was I just being a silly Billy? Also, what happened to our music? Oh, that's right. The music got yeeted with the tabs. We will resume with the music. let's see, I just need to fix this, make a copy. We'll call the copy 9, because that's what it was prior. Sorry, this is an embarrassing little bit of accounting that I didn't think I would have to do. So give me one moment while I get things set up. How's everyone today? Hopefully doing well. The beats should be resuming presently. Come on now. All right. Just give me the tunes. Give me tune skis, please. All right. There we go. That is better. Hopefully y'all can hear me, and hopefully the music is at an appropriate level. Oh, son of a gun. If I could just get situated, that would be fantastic. That would be ideal. Oh, come on. Oh, well. And I'm just gonna set. God damn. Okay, I'm just gonna set the music there. Hopefully that'll be good. We'll minimize that. Okay. Okay. There we are. So Monday game. The group has been in Sloopdadop. I didn't spell it correctly, but you know what is correct when it comes to Kuotoa words. It's all onomatopoeia. The group is, let's see, VTT Switch. We have a player who moved away. As you know, this is my Monday game where it is students and staff. We had a student move away, but he is able to join us virtually, which is really cool. It's a way that we can all kind of stay in the loop and in touch. So that has been awesome. We actually even have a big setup with projector. So I'm able to do Roll20 on a big projector, which is so awesome. I'm really excited and eager to give that a shot. Group in Tomb of Caim. In the middle of a, I don't know if it's a wraith fight. Let's just call it wraiths. They got wrecked by the wraiths. Wrecked by wraiths. Next fight with Caim should be fun. So I was going to make it harder, but it seems like I didn't need to. It's going to be all very good. The fact that the wraiths can just ignore the terrain and just go through like solid walls to attack is great. And it's been a fun thing. All right, get things ready in Roll20. Maybe figure out how to use Classroom Projector. So yeah, all of that. Student moved away, can play remotely, so that will help a lot. So that I feel like that I'm on pace with that. There's been no problem with that. Figure out encounters. We'll just call that done. Roll20 prep. I've got some fun songs on there, so that should be good. responding to someone else on my messages. All right. So there's not a lot more going on my Monday game. We'll be playing with fingers crossed twice this week. We'll be playing tomorrow and Wednesday. Normally we would do Monday and Tuesday, but given that this was a holiday 3-day weekend kind of situation, we did not do that. So let us see. Tuesday, Klaus the Gnome. I don't believe Looney is here. We haven't played since the last time. Although I'm going to add something kind of clandestine here, and I'm probably going to seal it off in a minute. But Demon the Fallen, question mark? Let me go ahead and uncensor this for the time being. Demon the Fallen may start planning a World of Darkness game. Themes? Apocalypse. Set it in ellipses question mark. Should find a fun place. Ideas. Ancient demon / fallen angel reviving from centuries long sleep wants to cause a cataclysm to release lost love. I think I can work with that. So Demon the Fallen World of Darkness game, all about fallen angels banished to a sensory deprived abyss, but now are released. All right. That is going to be a different and more interesting thing to kind of plan for, but we're gonna put that in like a separate section. I don't want to plan too much because we're not going to do anything with it right now. But these are just the kernels of ideas. So there we go. I might even set it in Mexico City. I've got a lot of information on that. Let me just add Mexico City question mark. So that should be fun. Okay, Wednesday game, Dawn of Thay. We got to play for a very short amount of time. So we're just gonna, let's see. Short game, flat cultists let one go. Learned about let me think. Learned about Netherese wizard in stasis, deciding what to do. Netherese wizard is named Garvardi, because I'm gonna make this tie into the other game. Actually an ancestor of the Garvardi in the other game, and namesake. So both Wednesday games are very, very deeply intertwined with the Netherese Empire, which is like a centuries old empire that existed in like the ancient history of the Forgotten Realms. Let's see. So, what should they do with him, and how should he proceed? Garvardi, Cullen. Let's say he could be potential ally versus Thay. Could be looking for ancient artifact that would revive a floating city. That city holds the remains of a half-formed god of Netheril. The god was about to be born when the Empire fell. Revival of Netheril may be a bad thing, but maybe the group could. Well, no, this seems a little crazy. Like, everything is fine. Everything is fine except I don't know how I want to treat him. Because I don't want him to be an ally. And he could be looking. He is looking. And he should be a villain. But then there's also the consideration of what if they don't wake him up? I think we can solve for that. If not woken, they will conduct the search. But what will his role be and how will he arrive? Like, I don't want him to wake him up and then just immediately he's like, oh, I'm evil and I'm leaving. So it's not going to feel great. Okay, I know it. Garvardi, so... Garvardi... Oops. Is a piece of a half-formed god of Netheril. The god was about to be born before the Empire fell. Garvardi represents 1/5 of this god. Even if he is born 1/5 as powerful, still strong enough to wipe out nations. What to do with Woken Hurt? Question mark? Can ask questions and refreeze. Okay, I like this so far. So they'll know enough that they can't keep him around, or else he's gonna fully wake up. And hold on one second. Okay, so they'll know enough to say, okay, this guy wakes up, we ask him questions, he cannot stay awake. If stays awake for 24 hours, let's say. No, let's make it, let's kind of raise the stakes. 1 hour will return to 1/5 power. Can be refrozen, but group will need to move him so he is not disturbed. Can be held in Neverwinter or Waterdeep. From there, group may have to find powerful patron. The Druids? If I could spell Druids, that would be great. The Druids? Question mark? And may be working in concert with other groups. So that way, they're looking for maybe like a handful of these 1/5s. So they found 1/5. Now they're going to do like 2/5, 3/5. Someone else is looking for the 4/5 and 5/5. May even explain where other PCs went. Okay, I like this so far. So let's just put in a note for next, for like what happens next. So second part. Where do I want to take this? They've been mostly through the kind of Phandelver Neverwinter region. Let's send them to Gauntlgrim. So that should be really fun. They'll get to meet some dwarves, go underground, maybe fight some mind flayers. I like it. Underdark excursion. Cool. All right, I like that way better. I think I am on a roll with all of that. But I like the idea of like the god being Garvardi, or the potential god being Garvardi, because that's going to have ties in with the second Wednesday game, Dreams of Myth and Uldranorr. Let's see. I researched Valindra. Let's see. Arabeth. Still thinking on that one. Valindra. Evil Lich Woman. Ties to Thay may come and use Moon Elf heritage to lay claim to Myth Ranor. Sorry, I'm responding to someone else. Okay. Currently returned to Mythdraenor with refugees. Ran into Elven Trio. Okay, so no combat, just talking, planning mentorship of Ogre Warlock. Triple 19 roll. Weird blue light. Okay, so they're gonna go to the weird blue light. Weird blue light. So if you've been following the Dreams of what is it? Shoot, I forgot my own title that I just said. Dreams of Myth and Uldraenor. In this game, the group has meddled with some things that are kind of conspiring with the old and ruined empire of Mythdraenor, the old elven empire of Mythdraenor. They're kind of trying to bring it back, but also have triggered some temporal anomalies because there is a potential future that is reaching back to try and A, exist, and B, meddle in the affairs of humans. And also just these elven failsafes that have been working from ancient past to try and bring Mythdraenor back. So it's like the past meets the future and the present and all this kind of weird stuff. The blue light is going to be final anomaly. Short dungeon. Fight Johnny 8 and have final question mark showdown with Garvardi, who will manifest to try and control Talia. May even try to cause no. I don't like that kind of thought. Okay. May even try to clone Talia to force reality to conform. Five-room dungeon time. Room 1. Let's see. Every round, gravity switches. Roll d6 to determine down. 1 is normal. 6 is opposite, and so on. Farouk will have a dex save to hang on, but will have 5-foot movement for the round as they cling on. Why did they put a W on round? Actually, let's make it a DC 7. I want it to feel like, oh man, we really screwed up in failing on this roll. All right. Furthermore, room 2. This will be the encounter room, and they will fight Johnny 8. Let's see. He will be. What do we want him to be? We want him to be some kind of construct, but not so difficult that it's going to wallop them. Let's just go with a CR5 spider. Give lasers and what else should he have? 2 claws. Oh wow, the little speaker I got to do the music is like really throwing some bass. Feeling it on my whole table. Anyways, I love that little speaker. All right. Johnny 8, lasers, 2 claws. Let's make this super simple. I don't need a stat block for this. I was going to go looking for one. AC 14. We'll say 80 hit points. One laser attack. We'll just say 20 damage, area, dex 13 for half. 2 claws, 20 samage. No, thank you. Let's make it 15 This group is kind of squishy. I should not be as rough on them as I have been. 2 claws, 1d8 plus 4 each. Johnny, 8 will be damaged from last time. Cool. Room 3. This should be an incidental room, and we're going to say mirror room. We'll have mirrors to other realities and timelines. Chair will be here. So if the group wants to retrieve their throne, they can grab it and carry it with them, but that's going to be a big pain in the ass. Unless they strap it to someone's back. May get insight into possible future, question mark? Room 4 will be another, actually, let's do this as a puzzle. One big button. Requires 500. No, let's see, one big button. Requires 20 damage at once to push. May be okay with other ideas to solve. But the idea is like if they figure it out, like it cannot be pushed normally. In fact, let's see, one big button also has hammer nearby. So they'll know like, hey, maybe we need to use the hammer to push the button. In fact, we'll do 2 hammers. Maybe okay with other ideas to solve. So the idea is like, okay, we use these 2 hammers to slam down at the same time. If we can do 20 points at the same time, the button will press. But if they come up with something else interesting, I'll go with that. It's a nonsensical puzzle room. Like, there's no actual reason anyone would build a puzzle room to do that. But, you know, whatever. This dungeon doesn't have to make sense. It's a temporal anomaly. So it might just be some kind of a weird Feywild glitch that's trying to write the structure of the universe, and in doing so, it's like, hey, here's a goofy room. All right, Garvardi. Archmage. Spells 1 through 7 because I don't want to throw like a meteor swarm at them. Let's see, Garvardi will have a clone of oh shoot, why am I forgetting my own characters in my own game? Give me 1 second while I figure that out. And again, hopefully everyone is doing good tonight and having fun. Just bear in mind, very shortly we will probably be doing a Q&A for those of you who are interested. Let's see, what was I about to do? Yes, I'm going to look up. Yeah, I just had a really good idea to maximize the kind of feels of this game. Collections, my campaigns. But let's see. And we're doing... It's probably in my miscellaneous, I think. So I didn't actually make one for this campaign, but let's see. Erie, Marlowe. Yeah, so it's going to be a clone of Marlowe and Resi. And they're basically characters who are no longer in the campaign for one reason or another. They exist, but their players have either switched characters or are no longer playing are no longer playing in the campaign. So this is going to be a really fun thing of like, for a split second, they're going to be like, oh shit, are these the real deal? And then I'll kind of sort of reveal like, oh no, they're clones, and then they won't freak out. Garvardi will spend the first 2 rounds trying to acquire, we'll say, a lock of Talia's hair. We'll use Big B's hand to do so. And then that way, not as lethal as he will not unleash terrible damage until round 3. May even allow group to turn clones against him? Question mark? London and Dover will have a prominent role. Remember, they will disappear if group wins. That's going to be real sad, but then the group will get 2 giant hyena cubs because this is all very timey-wimey. Oh, what am I... See, I was already planning on doing a 5-room dungeon, but... Oh well, I'll save this for some other time. All right. Let's see, where were we? Okay, so that was our Wednesday game. We're going to go directly into our Thursday game. We didn't get to play. We just kind of hung out and talked about the state of the game. We're actually probably in like the last 3 months of this campaign, so it's going to be really interesting. But I have a feeling that they're going to go do exactly what I was thinking. They're going to rune cut the rune heart, free Zoliad, kill Shantico. The essence is going to go to the Balgor Wastelands. I actually had this whole thing where I talked to them about the Balgor Wastelands and how it came to be. But the short version of that is that there was a vicious war between the elves and the dwarves thousands of years ago. I want to say like 5,000 years ago. And one of the consequences of that war is that the old elven empire in that setting, totally different from Forgotten Realms, was wiped out by the dwarves when they used rune magic to completely just destroy it on a very fundamental level. And now what's left is like this Mad Max radiated desert, and so they're going to have to go there because I already told them all about it and they know how wacky and terrible it is. So now they're going to be like, oh shit. And there we go. So that'll be really fun. They'll have to go there to basically race Zoliad and the Shantico cultists to get to the essence of Shantico before it could reform, or that someone else can do something with it. Balgor Wastelands will act as Spires of Zinchalastin, and I can use that whole area from the book of the Rise of the Rune Lords, which was this campaign was very loosely based on, so that should be really fun. All right, could lead to a final showdown with the Pontifex, maybe the Pontifex and Zoliad fight, ally, I don't know. Conversation about how much longer. Okay, so that conversation was had, people know, and I think we're going to shoot for maybe a new campaign after this, and we'll see. Or we'll continue with the same characters. We'll decide that. but we're at least it's on the table. People really understand that this story, anyways, is very nearly done. Shantico leaves behind a divine essence. Only had one said, okay, so this is kind of a longer form of what I was describing. Cultists within the okay, yeah, all the same stuff. Cool. We might even throw Mantis, the Demon Lord, I think, in there, but we'll figure it out. All right, now we're going into the Friday. Oh no, I forgot to say all the stuff about Sam. Sam, if you're watching this or listening, that was spoilery stuff. Friday game, Peril in a Beer. So let's see. Last layer. So they did the Earth one. Let's see. How do I do the strike through? Format. View. Edit. Boo. I want to strike through. Damn it. Oh. Oh well, we'll figure it out. Oh, that's how we do it. Okay, so that's that. The Earth one has been done. Yeah, that's right. The group is going towards the Sun one, so that's going to be really fun. Fire jellyfish monster typhon. No, we're going to change that. So if they're going to go towards it's like a southwest and it's going to be sun themed. What would be good? Should they fight Godzilla? I feel like that's a little too tropey. But if it's a radiation monster that they want to fight, then You know what I think I'll do is I'll make it an iron golem that radiates. Actually, no. We'll just make it a sun golem. Or, I guess better to say fusion golem. Lots of explosives and a radiation and heat aura. 3d8 of each if end turn within 10 feet. So that should be fun. Actually, let's tone it down just a skosh. 2d6 of each. So that's like a half a fireball every time they end their turn within 10 feet of it. Cool. Solar flare. Thin ray. No, thin. What's the word I'm looking for? Cone of radiation damage. Okay, that should be fun. This game is also very close to being done, and we'll figure out what comes after. Group will now go to other nodes. Last node. We'll bring back old NPCs, including Stott and Zariel, reunion, and culminate in the fight against the Boxov. Okay, so now we move on to our Saturday game. But first, let me check my messages. Okay, Tomb of Annihilation. Let's see, download. No, so this is. We can delete some of this stuff. So next game, the group is going to continue going through Crazy Castle. We'll fight more stuff, including what is his name? Um, Sorry, give me 1 second while I'm looking this information up because I cannot remember. Hopefully, if I write this down, I'll remember it better. Chernobog. Okay. Big showdown with aspect of Chernobog. Chernobog may share in its dying breaths that it was brought against its will by Acererak. As a sacrifice, it rebelled and took over the castle. Once defeated, the ghosts of the gods of Omu will reveal themselves and give further boons and explain what Acererak is doing. So this might actually take us into something of an endgame for this game as well. But we've been, we're going at a kind of a breakneck pace. So that should be fine. And it might be good to do this so that we can then like start a different game and kind of go from there. All right. Pacing. So learn of Acererak. Learn stakes. Maybe consider going to Nyanzaru, but having a teleporter to this castle? Question mark. Travel to Tomb of Annihilation will take 2 to 3 sessions. May face some of Acererak's minions on the way. He learns of groups' intentions. Okay. Hello, nice use of Russian God. Yes, thank you, Zach the Somniac. Excellent name, by the way. But yeah, I thought of using what do you call it? I already damn forgot. It's Chernobog. But I really like the use of Chernobog from Fantasia, and he's just like a big scary dude. I actually wrote up stats for Chernobog in a book from a while ago for Legendary Games, and I'll be using those because they're really handy. He'll just be an aspect of Chernobog, but I'm choosing to make him basically a demon lord in this game. But yeah, it should be fun. My Tomb of Annihilation game, if you're interested in other gods, yeah, I'm all ears. But my Tomb of Annihilation game has been like a very like loose interpretation of that story. But so far, everyone's been having fun. We'll just go ahead and delete that because that's not necessary anymore. Next week, Magic Castle might substitute Omu. Homework: figure out castle dynamic. Maybe read a bit more through Tomb. Yeah, I kind of did not do that terribly well. Special note: need other DM. Okay, we kind of sort of solved for that. All right. Might recommend the old gods from the show American Gods. Is there a place that I can look those up without watching the show? I find my time lately has been very um, tight, so I have not been able to necessarily like watch as much as I wanted to. I'm like super backlogged on a lot of things. But if there's like a wiki or yeah, Wikipedia, fantastic. Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping. But yeah, I would love to see more of those because I know there's some really weird gods and very interesting ones. Gives you the summary. Fantastic. Yeah, I'll check that out. Toot sweet. But yeah, I would love to incorporate more of that in here. And I don't know if you are familiar with Tomb of Annihilation, but the fact that a Sararak is there kind of brings in this multiversal approach to the game because he's bringing in things that don't belong in Forgotten Realms um, to exist there, and it's this kind of mishmash hodgepodge. But let's see. So let's see. Also, for the Magic Castle, you could do Beauty and the Beast Castle, where the servants are mimics. I've done that before, and I really liked it. I was tempted to do that this time, but having it be this kind of like creepy castle with a bunch of shadows and that doesn't allow for light magic has been a hit so far. But I'm keeping that Magic Castle with the mimics and so on, or the animated objects. I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket because I really want to use that sometime soon. I do 8 game. Bleh, I do 8 games, so it's very likely that I will find an opportunity to do that sometime soon. All right. Um, I kind of want to delete all of this. Um, but actually, I'm not going to. Current events. Group found a keep that was an experimentation area where freedom fighters were turned into sentinels. We'll get to rest, but next leg of journey will take them to Ryla. So I'm really mean. The group just got taken from the world that they thought was the world, which is actually the moon, to the big world that the moon was orbiting, or at least now is orbiting. And they ended up in a really weird spot where they couldn't fly like they had been because the skies were unfriendly. And if they slept anywhere overnight, they would get attacked by all kinds of crazy creatures. So they took refuge in a keep, and the keep is full of all kinds of dangerous monsters. They're gonna go to a place named Ryla, which is obviously influenced by like Lovecraft stuff, but like there's gonna be friendly things there. There's gonna be weird aberrations, but it's gonna be a city and lived in, and not everyone there's gonna be like an evil monstrosity. So it should be fun. The servants use their friendly demeanor to lure adventurers to the dining room, where the servants then reveal their mimic form. I like that. I'm gonna have to keep that in my back pocket. And I'm just responding because I posted pictures of a miniature paint job that I did earlier. And the dude who saw it says that it's good, so that's good. Of course, I'm seeing some issues that I might need to fix with it, but I'll figure that out soonish. All right. I'm reading this from the chat. I'm currently in a campaign where I'm trying to build a Hexblade Oathbreaker Paladin. That sounds like a really potent combination. So I've got a lot planned for when the group actually gets to Ryla, and I've got it all written out, so I don't have to do much. Let's see. If freedom fighters are restored via dispel magic, then they will reveal some secrets of who's the evil god. May even reveal the connection to the Blood War. Yeah, charisma boosts. Yeah, there's some wildly good synergy between Hexblades and Paladins, especially if you go mostly Hexblade and get those 5th level spell slots. Whew, it is really good being able to do just every short rest, getting all of those spell slots for smites. It's insanely good. All right, so that's that. We're kind of done with all of that, with all of the planning so far, at least to the degree that I need to plan. All right. Oops. So now is the part of the stream where I do my Dungeons and Dragons and questions and answers, and you've been doing a really good job, Zach, of asking questions. Do you have any questions for me, and just in general? Do you want to know more about Dungeons and Dragons? I mean, it sounds like you know quite a bit, so I'm not gonna shortchange you on that. But let's see. We're just gonna do that real quick. Life Drinker +5, Pact Hex Weapon +5, Oathbreaker Aura 10 feet, +5, Cloak of Lives +5. That's amazing. That sounds like quite the synergy. I really like that. I'm gonna have to look that up, to look up all of the details just to see how that interconnects. But it sounds like that's a really good connection. But yeah, Zach, any questions or comments about my planning, about Dungeons and Dragons in general? Any of the settings that I run, whether they're established or the ones that I do with the Polar Master. Polar Master is it's underrated, but the people who know that it's good use it to frightening effect. It's a really good feat. Hey you, hi. Yeah, hi you. We did your part, but Looney, I have to tell you, there's now a new part. And it's in red, so I'm really excited. We're going to expand on that later. How do you redirect the party back to the main quest line? It's not hard. It's not as hard as you might think. Usually you just have to give a nudge. Sometimes you just have to make sure. It's a fine art of letting them do whatever strange thing they want to do. So they might be like, we're going to start a goblin orphanage, or we're going to start going door to door and selling flying brooms. We're gonna, own a tavern and do stuff like that. And on the surface, that just seems like they have no interest in what your adventure is, and that couldn't be further from the truth, honestly. The good news is that means that they care about your setting, that they want to have fun in it, and that's the best thing you could ask for. Let them do the thing. Let them do it all day long. Like, let them goof around and go on a side quest. Let them raise pigs for a minute. Let them, do something that just seems like a flight of fancy. And then threaten that. You don't have to go too far. You don't have to kidnap their parents and take them to an abandoned keep. You don't have to, slaughter all their pigs and make them feel bad. But what you do have to do is take whatever they're doing that they enjoy and let them know that they can't continue doing it in peace if they don't do the thing you want them to do. So for instance, let's say they've got their pig farm, they've got their tavern, they're like, doing all this wacky side stuff. All of a sudden, the lieutenant of a big bad guy comes by and starts messing things up. Maybe he starts kidnapping people. Maybe he kidnaps one of the servants that they've hired to maintain their pig farm slash tavern slash whatever. All of a sudden, now they know. Well, we're invested in this. We want all of these things that we want, but we understand that we can't continue doing them without um, addressing this issue, without getting entangled. Like we're already entangled in this problem, and so at that point, all you have to do is escalate from there. So they fight the lieutenant. Maybe it turns out the lieutenant is like someone from their past, and you just weave in. It's like you never put them on a road to the bad guy. You weave in all of these little details that make them want to do it. So maybe they all have individual goals, and you can be like, hey, that mystical item that your character's great grandfather was looking for, and you've pledged to do the same until you find it. Well, big bad guy's got it in one of his castles with one of his lieutenants. Or maybe someone's like, hey, I know that your goal is to make a bunch of money. Well, there's a bounty on one of the other lieutenants of the big bad guy. There you go. Go chase that guy. He's not that hard to beat. He's causing a lot of problems in Kingdom B. Just go take care of him and you're going to be rich. And so on. What's your opinion on a player that has multiple summons? I think I know what you're saying there. Like, so basically, you've got to. Let me write these out so that I know that I've addressed them. So, how to redirect to main story. Sawtree. Question mark. Let players be goofy, but threaten their goofiness a little, and let them know that they have to work to keep their goofy thing. And that sounds kind of derogatory. It's like, I don't mean goofy in a way of like that it's not worthy of their time. It is. It absolutely is. And those kinds of things are fantastic. I love it when a player is like, I'm gonna do this thing that just sounds completely ridiculous and dumb to anyone else, but like to me it's important. So it's like, I'm gonna open up a potion shop, or I'm gonna be the best singer in the capital city of this region. And stuff like that is fantastic. I love it because it does absolutely mean that they're invested. Second question, though, create undead and summon shadow spawn kind of mob. Yeah, that's tricky. So let me answer that. The opinion on characters with multiple minions. Let's just call it that. So there's two ways to kind of approach this. Like, so there's basically two primary questions. Question one, is it overpowered? It should not be necessarily. Hopefully it's not, but I know that it can be if it's just that pure action economy, and that's hard. But let's say, is it overpowered? If yes, then I'm gonna say make sure to exploit concentration on shadow spawn, and consider requiring bonus action to command zombies / skeletons. And that's going to be a tricky thing, because it's always harder to take things away. Exploiting the concentration, that's just how the rules work. So bad guy throws out a fireball. Not only are all of those minions caught in that, but now the summoner has to make a saving throw or lose the shadow spawn completely. So that's one thing. That's just how the game works. Like they should be ready for that. Doing the thing with the cause rates can be nuts. Well, wait, who's doing rates? You shouldn't be able to make. Well, let me look at that spell because I don't know. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that create undead might be a higher level ability, but let me look. I'm thinking like animate dead, where you can make skeletons and zombies, but it's been a long time. So yeah, create undead is a 6th level spell, and it's on par with disintegrate. So that's going to be a little wacky there, just all by itself. Excuse me. Okay, it does require a bonus action actually. So that already kind of messes with the economy of it. Decide to creature you control for 24 hours. So it does not only just use up that slot for as long as you have that creature, which is a big drawback, I would say, because that's big. But if you're doing so it does ghouls, ghasts, or wights, but not wraiths. So that's another one. And you know what? We'll just throw that on the screen. Let's see. Ghoul. Okay. So it looks like you can make more powerful creatures as you go higher level. But like, let's just pretend you've got a mummy. Mummies aren't that tough. They have some interesting abilities. Wights are pretty rough, but again, it's just more they've got interesting abilities. But yeah, you're basically using your bonus action to command them to do anything. And if that player is using a 9th level spell to start making some of these things, then sure, why not? Because that's really powerful. Like they could do True Polymorph, or they could do Wish, or they could do Meteor Swarm, or they could do this spell. So I don't see it as too terribly overpowered. But let's see, is this concentration? It is not. So I wouldn't worry too much about this. Also, so you might be noticing at higher levels that the players start throwing out Hella counter spells. You're going to want to not only throw enemies that can counterspell, but you're also going to want to throw out enemies that can dispel magic. If they can dispel magic, they can dispel these guys. And you can go about it one of two ways. Either the creatures just stop being animated, or and more importantly, the creatures stop obeying. So all of a sudden, it's like dispel magic. You don't want to do that too often because that feels kind of rude, but do it often enough that you start really like being careful about how you craft these undead and so on. Maybe like once every 5 sessions at most. You don't want to be a jerk, but really just make them start to like question the efficacy of it. But yeah, wights are tough. Ghasts aren't that bad, honestly. Um, but if you're really up against the wall with the action economy and everything, consider just allowing them to use one or the other. Say that the concentration for the shadow spawn does not allow for the ability to command with a bonus action. That's a conversation you'll have to have with your players, and it's not an easy one because they may not be happy with the answer. But just if your real concern is with it being overpowered, then that's absolutely right, and you should have that conversation. You should pull back on that. If, and this is question 2, is it tedious? So maybe it's not overpowered. Maybe it's not dealing a lot of damage. Maybe this isn't like winning fights by itself, but it's bogging down the game because all of a sudden, Necromancer player's turn comes up, and all of a sudden he's got like 5 things to command plus himself. That's going to take up a lot more time than just himself. So what I would recommend that you do is turn those things into a bonus action make it a saving throw and deal damage. There's no reason that these creatures have to overshadow the other players. There's no reason that their inclusion in the combat should make them be more of a showcase than the other players. But if the purpose of the spells cast by the Necromancer was to do damage, then just let it do damage and just boil it down to one roll. One roll for the Shadow Spawn and for the damage. I'm sorry, for the Shadow Spawn and for the Undead, and just let whatever creature or creatures affected make a saving throw, and maybe if all attack one target. Oops. Save versus spell. DC 1d8 damage per creature. Half on save. And then if because let's face it, the undead shouldn't be going out there and helping allies as much. That's just not what they're there for. But the Shadow Spawn might be going out there and doing the help action, or it might be dragging someone away from danger or delivering a healing potion, because it's more controllable. It's meant to be an extension of the Necromancer. So sure, have it do that, but then you don't do the extra d8 damage on that attack. If all attack separate targets deal auto 1d8 plus 2 to each target. So yeah, up to number of participants. Does that sound right to you? Like, I think it needs to be abstracted if the question is their inclusion tedious? Just reduce it to one roll, saving throw with damage. If it's multiple targets, because you're spreading them out, 1d8 plus 2 automatic damage to each target, up to the number of participants. So let's say you've got 5 ghouls and 1 Shadow Spawn. You could attack 6 total targets and just do damage. Because let's just not worry about it. Let's just not let this be a thing. And that's not gonna. At that level, that should not break the game. If they're fighting like these low level minions, if it's kobolds, they were gonna fall to something at some point anyway. Whether it was a fireball or something else. If it's against like some big bad guys, that's not going to do anything. The 1d8 plus 2, like, it will contribute to the fight, but it's not going to change the fight. But does that make sense, Zach? I figure that's like maybe helpful, but that's 2 separate questions. I don't know what the situation is. Overpowered versus tedious. It could even be both, and maybe you combine the 2. But that being said, you could summon a bunch of undead to do damage, or you could do a Bigby's Fist and do like bonus damage, bonus action damage every round, and I feel like it should come out to about the same. And it does in that case. Bigby's Fist, or like Crown of Stars, basically come out to the same general effect. You use your bonus action, you keep the concentration on the spell. That's a cool. Well, can't see it, I guess. Oh, shoot. This got changed. There we go. But Bigby's Hand does 4d8 damage every round as a bonus action. I don't think that's crazy. Like, if you do a little bit more, it's because you're using a spell slot that's higher than 5th, which this spell does. You increase the damage for each spell slot all the way up to 9th. By 9th level, you should be doing gosh, 12d8 damage? No. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. So that's just something to think about. Looney, do you have any questions for me? And Zach, feel free to ask more. We're absolutely in our question and answer phase. And regrettably, it seems like Zach may have left. Hopefully, I answered his question in an acceptable way. What the heck? Sorry, my work phone just rang. It was a telemarketer. Sorry, love, I got nothing this week. Coof thing nuked my brain, something fierce. That's okay, love. I'm totally okay with that. And we are at 1 hour and 15 minutes, more or less. So we can probably stop here unless there's anyone else in the chat who has any questions. And don't worry, I am not upset that we didn't get more questions. These were pretty comprehensive questions already, and I was happy to answer them. Again, I really hope Zach was able to get the appropriate answer from me. But yeah, we can. I'm gonna just like wait another minute to see if maybe I see two people in the chat. Maybe if they're not bots, and if they want to answer or ask a question, I'll give them the opportunity to do so. But otherwise, we'll stop there. Next week should be kind of interesting, and I'm planning on kind of expanding things a little bit. We might be even branching out to something that's not Dungeons and Dragons, which is really exciting. But yeah, let me just check my message. I'll give y'all just another few bit of time to decide if you want to ask a question for people who are in the chat and have been quiet so far. Let's have a look. I hope y'all have been liking the music. I've been trying to switch it up so that it is not just the same music every week. I am not a bot. I just got so I don't know what kind of questions you're fielding. Anything really related to D&D. Although if you're just having a moment where you want to ask any question about life in general, I'm not above letting you do that. Ask anything, but really, you probably missed a big chunk of what I was doing earlier, which is like planning for my 8 games that I do every week. And so I did a lot of talking about like what those games entailed and so on and so forth. But really, if you have a question about like how do I run 8 D&D games a week, how do you handle unruly players, what do you do if you need to do X, Y, and Z in the game, and so on and so forth. In the past, I've also gotten a lot of lore requests, and I do my best to answer lore questions just in general about Dungeons and Dragons, the Forgotten Realms, which is a big chunk of what I run, or just Dungeons and Dragons in general. Like, do you want to know about aberrations and mind flayers and how they reproduce? I can tell you that. Do you want to know about the legendary dragons that exist in the Forgotten Realms setting? I can tell you about that. Do you want to know what D&D was like back in the mid 90s? I can tell you that. But that might not be your jam. Whatever happens to strike your interest. But thank you for being here. Thank you for saying something. Thank you for being a first time chatter. And if you haven't already, I would implore you to follow me if you're interested. No pressure in either case, but if you would like to, I would love a follow. Eight games a week is insane to me. I run 2 and it can be a lot. do you run pre-made adventures or homebrew? I do sometimes. I will try and integrate as much as I can. So, for instance, let me just go back over the games that I'm running, just to kind of give you an idea. Monday, I'm running a Out of the Abyss campaign. It started as a Lost Mines of Phandelver. It's for a student group at my work because I work at a school. So it's just a lot of inspiration from Out of the Abyss. I've run it before, so I kind of know it like the back of my hand. It's actually my third time running it. Really easy. I can just bring in elements that I need to from the book. I can kind of go off script if I need to. Tuesday, Klaus the Gnome. That's the one I run for Looney here, and it is a really cool game. And that one's a lot more freeform, and I'm doing a lot more of kind of digging into an older D&D setting that I don't know as much about, so I'm kind of learning along with Looney. It's really good. There's some really interesting things here that I want to talk about at some point, but all I'll say is that it has to do with the World of Darkness, which is not Dungeons and Dragons, and has to do with kind of like a creepy modern setting. We'll probably talk about more on next week. Dawn of Thay is a completely freeform game set in the Forgotten Realms. I've pulled in elements from other books on occasion, but for the most part, I'm just kind of doing this one freeform and doing a lot with a place called Myth Dranor, which is an ancient elven empire that fell into ruin. So there's things that I can draw from, but it's not from a pre-made adventure. Meanwhile, Dreams of Myth and Older North. No, sorry, let me scratch that. This is the one that it's about the Myth Dranor. The previous one is just another freeform adventure that I've been running for a group of kiddos. I don't try and put too much structure to it because the kids don't have a lot of structure to the way that they play. So I'm just playing it very uh, light in how I approach it, and I just throw things in front of them and kind of try and weave a plot when I can. Let's see. One thing I want to share is that I have a 5-room dungeon kind of approach. Like, I don't like doing long dungeons, and usually it's going to be like puzzle, encounter, incidental room like library or what have you, puzzle room, encounter, and that's usually what I have capacity for, and my players tend to as well. Having a much bigger kind of dungeon, just especially if you're playing remote, just doesn't really tend to work terribly well. The Thursday game I'm actually running as a Rise of the Rune Lords campaign with 5th edition rules mixed in with some Palladium fantasy setting. It's been really good. It ended up being a lot more freeform than I thought it was going to be, but that's still fun. And we're getting to this end game where I'm going to be able to do kind of the final big dungeony exploratory area from that campaign. And then finally, on Fridays I do Peril in a Beer. It's just been this like long running game for another group of kiddos, also freeform, but just having to do with like a lot of Forgotten Realms adventures. The Saturday game is just a Tomb of Annihilation game. It started out Adventurers League, but it kind of morphed into something else. But it's been really cool, and being able to draw from the book frees me up to not have to worry about it. It's a little bit more on the rails, if you will, but I get to be freeform with it on occasion. And then finally, my Sunday game is the game that is just completely made up. I don't tend to bring anything in from other books, and it's a setting that I cooked up all on my own. That one probably takes the most attention, kind of creative energy, because there's not really a lot that I bring into it from other sources. But it's a mix. I guess to answer your question, it's a mix of the two. When I can bring something in from the books, I do, and I have a real tendency of trying to mix in like 2 or 3 of the adventure books when possible, because it's really cool to be able to just mash up different ideas. But I think what I've learned in being able to do 8 games is that like I just do so much off the top of my head, and that's a muscle you have to flex a lot. But once you get to that mode, it's like riding a bicycle, and it's really cool to be able to just run 8 games, and I usually end up feeling more energy when I'm done than less. So it's pretty cool. Um, let's see. Do I run pre-made or homebrew? A mix of both. But a lot is freeform. I guess is the best way I have of answering that. But thank you for the question. I hope I answered it adequately. We're getting really close to the 1.5 hour mark. I certainly have time for one more question if anyone is willing to throw one out. Thank you so much, Zenshi, for throwing out some stuff into the chat. Action Shin, if you're there and not a bot, I'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, we will probably move on and end the stream early. Just as a heads up, I stream every Monday. I try to start about 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard and go for about anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, just depending on how much prep I need to do for my weekly games. And then every Tuesday I do a video game stream. Currently playing Final Fantasy V. Might be finishing it very soon. And then we will be moving on to probably a Mega Man game. I haven't decided, but that's where it's leaning towards. Absolutely. Do you have anything you ban from your games for balance reasons? Also, you can call me Zen. The name trips most people up. Yeah, Zen. So no worries. So we'll just write this out. Do I ban anything from my games? In the past, in other games, I've had to ban a few things. Usually from like when I used to play and run Exalted a whole lot, which I kind of miss and I kind of want to go back to, but maybe in the future, maybe I need a little bit more of a break from it. That's besides the point. Currently, I do ban flanking, and I don't so much ban it as don't allow it as an optional rule. A lot of people are in love with flanking. One of the big reasons is that it's an optional rule that is used by the Critical Role people. I just don't like it. It makes facing and positioning on the battlefield just be like more of a thought than it should be. And I'd rather people be thinking about like the really cool thing they could do by like knocking a boulder on an enemy or swinging off a chandelier than expending all of their energy positioning themselves opposite of an enemy to get an advantage that like should be left to class abilities and so on. There should be more exciting and creative ways of getting advantage on your enemy than having two people on either side of them. I don't like that. That was fine for 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons, not so great for this. May consider restricting builds. So I have a player who very clearly created a character based off of an internet build. And so there's people all over the place who are going to just sit and think about the game on such a level that they create a sequence of character choices that then just becomes ridiculously powerful in a very narrow scope. And that was fine again for older versions of the game because it was kind of encouraged. It was kind of part of the game. But in 5th edition, you just don't need to do that. And I've seen this in other games before. It just leads to an arms race, and it's an arms race that you cannot win. And when I say you, I mean the player. I can always make my things harder. But why make the game harder for the people who aren't optimizing? I don't understand. I always leave flanking rules up to my players at the start of the campaign. They've learned to vote no. Yeah, and that's a really good conclusion to draw because, again, it doesn't matter how much you think flanking is going to help the players. It doesn't matter how much the players think it's going to be like, oh man, we're going to kick so much ass by doing flanking. I will always be able to flank you. You want me to throw in like 12 Kruthix? They're all going to flank you. Do you want me to throw in 40 skeletons, they're all gonna flank you, and you're not gonna love it, and you're gonna get critical hit way more often than you're gonna critical hit other things. That's just numbers. So yeah, I think you're on the same page as I am. But yeah, builds really bother me when people just go to this very specific area of being like, I'm gonna be super good at this, and you can't target me, and I'm gonna do all this damage and stuff like that. And it just seems like you're playing a game of numbers and you're not role playing. And it's like, I'm not gonna tell someone that they have to like speak with an accent, or that they have to be in character like X amount of the time. But it's like, if you're just there to like kick ass and only kick ass and not really contribute anything else, and it's like, come on, man, what are you doing here? Anyways, those are things that I ban. Oh, I'm just gonna put flight question mark. No, I'm okay with flight, even at first level. And I understand how flight can be problematic for newer dungeon masters, because it does kind of limit what you can do to that character. Someone can be really squirrely about how it's like, oh, I'm flying, so anyone who's melee can't do jack. But there's always going to be a rock to throw, or a javelin to throw, or something. And you can be in way more trouble getting knocked out of the air than on the ground. So that's never a problem for me. Those are the only things I could think of right off the top of my head. There's a lot that I would probably consider restricting from what used to be Unearthed Arcana, and like a lot of homebrew that I might have a problem with. But like, honestly, homebrew and like third party publisher stuff, I've allowed it, and it hasn't so far been a problem. So I think it's all right. I hope that answers your question. So, all right. I think we're going to go ahead and call it there. I really appreciate the participation that has been happening on the chat today. Some new faces and some new questions. I'm really excited about all of that. We will be back next week, hopefully with some really cool information. And as I kind of mull over what I would like to do for another game. Awesome. Thank you, Zen. I hope you have a great night as well. And thank you, Looney, for always being here and always being amazing. You are my inspiration. But we're gonna go ahead and stop there. I hope y'all come back come back tomorrow if you're interested in watching me play the end game for Final Fantasy V on Game Boy Advance. If not, please come back next week on Monday, roughly 7:30 Mountain Standard Time, and we're gonna go through some more planning for D&D as we go through the week's games. But thank you, everyone. And remember that I plan and play games for you.